Welcome everyone to Wrestling with the Paranormal. And today we'll be talking about the top 10 times the Simpsons have predicted the future. And to this guy over here, oh, so he's over there, yeah. Hey, hey, stop it. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Wrestling with the Paranormal. I am one of your hosts. I'm that bubbly son of a bitch. I'm Canada Dry, damn it.
And of course, every paranormal show's got to have a magician. That is, of course, me, Liam Wakelin.
And what is this show made for? Who is this show made for?
This show is made for wrestling fans by wrestling fans.
Okay, I'll accept that.
Fair enough.
So today is my birthday.
It is, and happy birthday. Have you had a good one?
Thank you. I just actually went out for a lunch breakfast. So I didn't have anything for breakfast, but I had breakfast for lunch. And so I went and just before the show, I got a few of the monsters.
You got the Tony Schiavone juice
for my birthday, my Tony Schiavone juice. And also on my way home, I found a quarter.
No way! Save it. It could be bringing
so
good
like,
luck.
Yes, exactly. Like the quarter, it used to be you'd find pennies, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now you find a quarter. That's good shit.
It is good shit.
So you were telling me about your tea drinking habits?
Yes, this is a nice little debate we've been having for, I think, a couple of weeks now. So,
what kind of tea do you drink?
It's called PG Tips, which is pretty. It's that normal tea. There's no flavors to it. It's
okay,
pretty.
So this is the part that frustrates me about our conversation about the tea.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm asking you what kind of tea is it? You just tell me the brand name.
Right.
Like, is it Earl Grey tea?
What?
Is it Earl Grey tea?
I know nothing about Earl Grey tea. I don't even think it's British. I don't know. I've never heard of that one.
You don't think Earl Grey tea is British?
I have no idea on this one.
Okay, so here's the deal.
Right.
Earl Grey was one of your prime ministers. So the legend says, "What? Are you okay?"
Oh dear, have I slipped through the cracks here?
I think you need to yell at your mother and father for not educating you on Earl Grey tea, because the legend says that Earl Grey saved this Mandarin boy in China.
Mm-hmm.
He was drowning, and they rewarded him with this special blend of tea that he obviously named after himself. It's not the Chinese saving tea. No, it's the Earl Grey tea. Yeah, and he was actually a really big humanitarian. So I think you should yell at your mom and dad for letting you slip through the cracks.
So once I leave this show, I'm gonna have serious conversations with my parents.
You're like, why the hell didn't you tell me Earl Grey was a hero?
And the next thing, when I go to the supermarkets, I'm going to find Earl Grey.
That's right. And so we're gonna have another. He's gonna hold up this Earl Grey tea for you guys.
Yeah, we'll get to the bottom of this tea thing.
So I guess that brings us to Around the Effing Galaxy.
Ding.
All right. So with that, let's bring George Le Disciple in. How's it going, Le Disciple?
Hello.
He's here.
I am here.
He has returned.
The rumor going around is that you were abducted by aliens and they probed you.
and it hurt like hell. It hurt
Oh,
like
oh,
hell.
oh, my brother, I feel for you. What color was the probe? I'm just curious.
It was
I
so
don't know
shiny,
why.
out of proportion. It was so shiny, out of proportions. The lighter the color got, the worse it got.
Oh, you gotta feel that as you're talking about it. We want to give a shout out to
What's going on, Noob?
Noob. Everybody
Noob.
say it on three. On three. 1, 2, 3.
2, 3.
Noob.
Noob. All right, there you go. You got your shout out, Noob.
Yeah, I'm loving his things on Twitter these past weeks, so that's kind of made me smile.
Noob is our human promo machine. He's been tweeting us and Natalia Markova and all that stuff.
Absolutely.
What do we got first? Oh, first.
So,
wait. George, how did you get unabducted? How did you pull this off?
Well, you see, I took their abduction scheme and I just unabducted myself. But if you want to know the truth,
yeah, we're always wanting the truth.
You see, all that controversy, for some reason, they were still hung up on the CM Punk versus the Elite scheme. And this went on for hours, and they're like, you know what? We're tired of this guy. Just throw him back in his window.
Oh, so you were yelling at them about CM Punk and the Elite.
Yes, I told them. They came down. They're like, Earthling, take me to your leader. I told them I didn't have I have a leader, but he's not here. And so I'm like, I can give you the biggest news right now. That is CM Punk versus the Elite. What is that? We will take you. 2-3 hours later, that apparently I guess they just had enough for me, and I just was thrown back into my bedroom.
Well, George, here's to tell you what really happened. This was a
you know what really happened?
Thank you, Pam situation. They probed you and they didn't need you after anymore.
We're 7 minutes into a podcast and we're talking about probing and abduction.
Yeah, well, that's what Paranormal Show is about. So, what do we got first, Mr. Magician?
Well, 2 friends of the effing wrestling community, also known as Brian Idle and Natalia Markova, are in a music video. Now, I've recently seen this and I absolutely love it. I'll start with you, kind of dry. What do we think to this?
Oh my goodness! When I saw it, I thought it was so great. I'm loving this single by Smashing Pumpkins. By the way, Smashing Pumpkins, such a great band. Billy Corgan has done so much for the wrestling world as a whole. I'm so glad we have him. What do you think, George?
Well, it was another great video by the Smashing Pumpkins. I am a fan, so you also throw 2 well-known name pro wrestlers in there. It just adds everything much more to everyone involved, because any exposure is good exposure, like we always hear. So it was just honestly the icing on the cake for me. So
icing on the cake. Now, do you have a cake for me? This, did you make me a cake?
How would I ever get it over there?
Listen, say yes. Okay?
I don't trust the mail system.
Just say yes. Just say yes.
Yes, it's coming by pigeon. Yes, it's coming by pigeon.
Thank you. That's all I was looking for. What else? What else we got?
So, according to Ryan Frederick of WON, Bobby Fish tried to get Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly to ask for AEW releases to go back to WWE. However, these 2 declined. So I was a little bit surprised with this one. George, I'll start with you on this one. What do you think?
I'm honestly as surprised as probably anyone else is, because, well, I know Bobby Fish is the only one out of the 3 that signed the shortest deal. Because I know we all know Adam Cole is there for like a 5-year deal, and so is Kyle O'Reilly. But I'm not sure Bobby Fish just wanted to, I don't know, be there a little bit and see how things went. And then it was just at the same time that Triple H took in charge. But I mean, they're all friends, so I'm not all too sure. I mean, yeah, that's about all I can say right now.
Canada Dry, over to you.
So, Bobby Fish was really pissed at CM Punk. You saw that.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if he just wasn't valued too much by Tony Khan. Because how many matches did he actually win by himself? Did he have any wins other than Dark?
Off the top of my head, I cannot think how many.
I can't think of one victory he had if it wasn't for the other guys, right?
Yeah. So I can understand the frustration slightly.
So, like, especially if you didn't get your contract renewed. If they didn't renew it and, it's not your choice, it's just, sorry, thanks for coming. We're not renewing you.
Yeah.
That.
But
I'm guessing there was some dissension before he had his contract renewed. Like, I think there was some bitching on his part.
Yeah. What do you two reckon, though, to obviously Cole and O'Reilly declining the offer?
Well, they're both booked very well. Why would you?
Yeah.
Like you got the money, and there's something to say for your word being important. Because if you get known for the guy who's always asking for his release, you've got two companies you can work for that are pretty much up there, right? You don't want to be burning bridges between one and the other, right?
Absolutely. I think that's well said, to be quite honest.
All right. Should we move on to the next piece of conversation?
Yes, absolutely. So there's a belief in NXT said to be that a new rule, but may not be a strong recommendation, that everyone who is signed from the point has 2 years to become good enough to make NXT, or they will be cut. This is really surprising. So basically what they're saying is you've got to prove your worth, otherwise you're out of here.
So is this from the second you sign your official contract, not your tryout, not your workout, not your, development deal, but your actual NXT contract?
And apparently it was also noted that a lot of people right now are on the clock. So could we be seeing a load of cuts coming out of NXT? I'm shocked with this one, to be honest.
Go ahead, George.
Now, I'm sorry. This is in their NXT contract specifically, not before they sign?
No. Yeah, this is their. As soon as they sign their actual NXT TV deal.
Yeah.
You have 2 years to prove you belong.
Oh, okay. So, honestly, that is kind of a shock, but I'd say it's maybe 60-40 of not really being too much surprised because, as we all know, and as a little kind of famous with AEW, because if you're not really proving your worth, why should you be re-signed? Because everyone wants to prove that they can be a main eventer, but if you're not doing that, or if, let's just say, you're a little more injury prone and haven't been showed up much, that's also a little less exposure because it's...
Well, George, it doesn't even have to be main eventer.
Yeah.
You just have to prove that you've got charisma, that you can carry an angle, that you can not look like shit when you're wrestling, pretty much, right?
But is 2 years too short? That's a quick question there.
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I think
it's pretty.
Like, if you're still looking like shit, like, why don't we bring someone else in who can keep recycling your guys? If you can't, like, it's just like a sports team. If your rookies are not developing, someone else is waiting behind to take that spot.
Yeah. So do we think we'll see a lot of people like getting released from NXT over the next, let's say, 2 years?
I guess the guys that are, there's probably a few of them that are on the clock.
I'd say possibly.
I wouldn't know who they
possibly.
are. But
no.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we'll definitely see what happens on that story because, like I said, I've read that and I was really surprised. But who knows? It's probably Triple H changing.
Is that it for the news? You got anything else?
I've got one more piece of news. So, and it comes from our, let's say, controversial guy, Eric Bischoff. Now, he was on the 83 Weeks podcast, and Conrad Thompson asked him if he had any advice for Tony Khan. Now, I think we've got a little clip for it, I believe.
We do.
He's the, what is he? He's the CEO, head booker, head, whatever he is. He's got about 6 titles. So yeah, he's an important person, but this is not about you, Tony. It's about your talent. And the more you're trying to get you over, the less your talent's getting over. And I'm talking about even in the ancillary promotion of your business. Tony Khan does not need to be tweeting 15 times a day. Less is more, Tony. Make people want to hear from you, not turn away every time they do because they see you way too often and in situations that isn't good for you or your company.
So obviously there was a few, I think there's 3 things we took away from that. So it was talking about obviously Twitter there. We'll start with that. Does he tweet too much? I say yes. Kind of dry.
I think he tweets a little too much. The one thing that he shouldn't do is always hype up the big show. This show will be like, you will not want to miss, I promise. Like, don't do that.
Mm-hmm.
Just get the AEW people to tweet, tune in tonight to AEW Dynamite. Don't need to promise anything because, like, I get it because he's wanting more numbers because, you know, if you say something like that, you're going to get some more numbers. Mm-hmm. So it's a tough one, though, right?
Yeah, absolutely. George, what about you on that one?
Honestly, I'm on the yes side as well. And one of the biggest gripes I still have is when, whether it's before Dynamite, Rampage, a pay-per-view, especially this past Wednesday, when he tweeted out, like, be ready to watch Dynamite and stuff, and possibly the thing that I gripe about the most, and I wish he would just stop, is, be prepared that there might be a surprise, hinting that there would be a debut or a return or something on the show. Now, if you're planning to have a big show like we just saw this past Wednesday with Grand Slam and continuing tonight, yeah, I could see why you would want some other numbers to be tuning in for like that show, but I feel it's better if you just don't, and it honestly should just stay a surprise because it kind of takes the little surprise out of the surprise.
Because now maybe he can transition to just saying, this will be one of the biggest Dynamites of the year. Boop, to leave it like that.
Yeah, exactly. And obviously, Canada's Dry, you pointed something out you wanted to talk about from this little segment as well.
Okay, so it wasn't on that particular video. It was later on because we only have time to take so much of the clip, right? So he was also talking about how AEW needs more story. And leaving it to wrestlers to make story I think that's wrong. Because you let the wrestlers make the story, like write the how it goes or whatever. But you need a little bit of structure. You need some writers in there, like a Brian Gerwitz. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, but you need someone out there to be your story guy. And I think Eric Bischoff is right on that. I think they need a story guy, someone who's hired. That's his job. Is just to get stories going. What's going to happen? This story's got to go tonight, and working with the different wrestlers and their agents. So,
yeah,
absolutely. George, would you got anything to add on that?
I do agree with this part. As for who needs it more, I'll add to. I'd say definitely the women's division because besides maybe Britt Baker, she's the only one who really who can just show up and you basically know she's in a storyline or story, and everyone else from the women's division, yeah, you have other stars, but they're not necessarily in a story, hence maybe the TV time or something, but I would also say you could throw someone like
problem with the women's division.
Yeah, but I would also say maybe on the more mid-card to maybe the mid-card level to like lower guys for everyone else in the locker room possibly because I guess especially with the Ring of Honor titles, unless they're gonna go somewhere with that eventually. But like, I know one notable one, like Wardlow, the TNT
Mhm.
champion, who's kind of lost all his momentum a little bit, who's kind of just coasting. Who I kind of wanted to see in more stories and being, yes, he is dominant, but I want to be shown that
Yeah,
more.
I don't know what
Because
happened with him, and they were kind of saying that him and what's his name?
Samoa Joe?
No, the other guy, Jay Lethal. Him and
Oh,
Jay Lethal were like still looked like they were still going to get something going, but then they kind of
Yeah. But yeah, I think that's the two main things we got from that clip. It's a pretty interesting clip. But yeah, the two things we obviously took from that, yeah, he does tweet too much, and then obviously the storyline
And so
situation.
the other thing for tonight, there's rumors that Bray Wyatt will be on SmackDown tonight.
ooh.
So there's just rumors. Like we talked about stories, but there's also rumors. So I don't know how
Wyatt family versus the Bloodline. Calling it now.
Do it.
and who's in the new Wyatt family.
We've got.
Well, they have Braun Strowman. They could just.
Well, you know what would be better?
I don't know what they.
It'd be better if they made all the creatures from the family, from the Funhouse come to life.
Oh, that would be shit scary.
Ooh.
Like you make them characters.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think that'd be really interesting. But like I said, I'm going to be tuning into SmackDown then tonight because I can't wait for that. And that wraps up our news from the effing galaxy.
Yeah. So, which brings us to the next part of our show. You're in this part of the show too, George.
I am. Well.
So, George,
Nice.
where the hell is it? I'm looking at. Oh, there's so many overlays today with the Simpsons episode.
You got too many buttons over there. That's what you got.
Here it is. It's bull or truth.
Truth.
So, George, do you want to come back at the end of the show?
Possibly.
Do you want to be part of our knowledge is power moment at the end of the show?
Sure, why not?
We'll bring you back, and you can tell us what you learned from our knowledge is power moment. Okay,
Let's do it.
We'll do it around the three-way. Well, not a three-way, not like that, Dallas. Not like that.
You're gonna make him jealous.
he threatened to marry you if you gave him that acclaimed jersey.
Oh,
Ooh.
he should have drafted me then. He missed his chance.
Oh, he could trade for you.
Damn. Shit just got real.
All right. All right. So what's the deal? What's your story? What do you got for us this week?
Yes, what is the story? Well, as always, we're just gonna be given names because that's how stories go. So we start with this young fellow Brad, who just randomly wakes up and
That's the
he's
funniest statement ever. Hold on. He randomly wakes up.
Like every person ever.
yes.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
And so he's trying to get a little visual of his surroundings and stuff, and he notices it's really dark, like pitch black, and he realizes he can't move that much. He can move like a little here and there from his limbs and stuff, and he starts to realize it's so quiet and all alone, and from his past, he's starting to that everything's coming back to him as he's kind of woken up, and then he remembers this accident he was in, and the conversations that are coming back to his head that he overheard while he was like semi-unconscious, of overhearing doctors and then his family members and such, and he's basically like, okay, so this isn't good, and he's hurt really bad, and so he's like, okay, well, maybe I just wake up, and then that's kind of where it just blanks out right there until we go back to him, and he says, if I would have known it would have been this lonely, I would have just had myself cremated.
Oh,
Wow, I wasn't expecting
And that's
that
where the
ending.
story ends there.
Whoa.
so you're saying he woke up in the grave?
So apparently he was reported kind of dead, but kind of like at the brink where he was able to come back. But at that moment, I would say not what machines or technology could prove. And
All right.
so,
All right. Do you want to go first, or should I?
I'll let the birthday person go ahead.
The birthday
oh yeah, happy
person?
birthday. Happy birthday, by the way.
Thank you. I'm gonna say this is birthday bullshit.
I'm going to say the opposite. I'm going to say this is true.
Well, ding, ding, ding. If you said this was true, you are absolutely correct.
Oh, you got it. You got it. One of my few losses here. What's it like? How?
Yes, you're.
But there's a little bit of fiction in there because obviously the guy, he must have been rescued, or else how do you know he was alive?
Yes, that's a little fiction thing because this specific report I couldn't find. I didn't find too much on, but I did find other reports saying that some people being taken to the funeral in the little hearse did kind of make noise or weren't actually like dead.
Well,
So
you know what they used to do? They used to have a little bell that they would attach to a rope that would go down to the casket. And if the bell is ringing, that means they're still alive. So they would have these just in case. People would get buried when they're not actually dead because the medical science wasn't quite up to par back then.
or you could just pop up like the Undertaker.
Yeah.
All right. We'll see you at the end of the show for Knowledge is Power. So make sure you're watching this. See if you can come up with the moral of the story.
Yes, watch. I'll be watching.
See you later, George.
See you in a bit, George.
All right. So I guess we're going to start our episode with this.
Well,
Wait. Yeah, someone had posted online on Twitter. They changed the I guess there was an episode where Homer was in England and he hit the Queen's carriage and I guess she died, but they changed the date on the casket because there's no one puts the numbers on the casket.
no.
So that was faked. So
That was-
that became a conversation with me and Liam, and we're like, why don't we do times the Simpsons actually did predict when this was actually when Simpsons actually predict everything.
Can I just say this
So-
is an absolutely amazing show? I always watch this religiously, even to this day.
I forgot to show this, so it's story time.
Pretty good.
So the what we're really getting into here is a top 10 list. Not necessarily a top 10, just a list of 10 that we're gonna get into.
And this is the first time we've done a top 10 list, if I remember rightly.
Me and you, but you're not the first co-host I had. Remember, the others disappeared.
Shh, we don't talk about them.
The chat has abducted George.
There you go. We might abduct me next.
Yeah, so we don't talk about them. Okay, so the first one that happened, let me just get my notes here. Lady Gaga at the Super Bowl. Do you remember this episode?
I do not. This is obviously more like later on in the series.
Okay, so one of the Simpsons Super Bowl episodes included a prediction of the musical artist performance in the 2012 episode Lisa Goes Gaga. And this is season 3, episode 22. And Lady Gaga visits Springfield and performs one of her songs. And on a flyover on the audience, she's at one point, she's playing the piano. So in 2017, was that 5 years later, Lady Gaga performed at the Super Bowl halftime show, performing her greatest hits, one of her greatest hits, Poker Face and Bad Romance during the halftime show. And Lady Gaga lifted above the audience later in the show. She played Millions of Reasons on the piano. So this is mirroring the Simpsons episode.
Yeah. Which is kind of
What do you
creepy.
think about this?
It's really creepy. Do you know the fact that there's a 5-year gap and then you can see the similarities? It just makes you think. What do you think on this one?
George says, I'd rather Lady Gaga come back for the Super Bowl performance than Taylor Swift is coming. Yeah, that's a lot of people are not happy about Taylor Swift.
Me neither. I don't like her. Just saying.
Yeah, so the Lady Gaga one is interesting. Was it a matter of time before Lady Gaga played the Super Bowl anyways?
It's possible. I mean, you look at
Well,
it.
it's
Probably
a special role to get to play the Super Bowl. Not every artist gets to do it, right? So,
plus you've got to think there's many like artists who gets to play different places.
It's a big deal to get to play the Super Bowl.
There you go, exactly. But it's really creepy. 5 years
okay,
apart.
What do you got for our second one?
So I've got Walt Disney and Fox merger.
Okay, we got the image for that.
Absolutely. So this is from 1998. So this is wow. In this episode, When You Wish Upon a Star, which is season 10, episode 5, Homer meets Alec Baldwin, voiced by Alec Baldwin himself, and Kim Basinger. I do hope I've said that right, by the way.
Kim Basinger or Kim Basinger. I don't know.
Fair, same thing. And decided to work for them. Homer suggested an idea for a movie during the phone call to the 20th Century Fox executives. The next scene of the episode shows them 20th Century Fox was now owned by Walt Disney. So that's the Simpson episode. So then we will fast forward to the modern days, I call it. So in March...
real life?
The real life, yeah, modern day, real life, yada, yada. So in March 2019, Walt Disney announced a £71 billion merger with 21st Century Fox. In 2021, Disney and Fox settled on streaming rights in the terms of films that Disney would own. In other words, they settled what movies would be solely on Hulu, Disney. Of course, these are all the streaming platforms, or HBO Max, and the deadline for the agreement. What do we think to this one? This is a bit of a long one.
Well, this one is one of the bigger ones because, like, they thought they were being funny.
Yeah.
But, like, it's like, that's probably one of the bigger ones that they predicted.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, where comedy becomes real. Like, they're trying to be funny. That's all it is. But, like,
do you think it's a coincidence on this one?
Pardon me?
Do you think this was a coincidence on this one?
I think they all are, to be honest. We'll talk about that later.
Dear, but yeah, that's the one I had. What's your next one?
All right, for the next one's this one kind of blows your mind. So we got Homer Simpson and Donald Trump riding down the escalator. In the episode Bart to the Future, season 11, episode 17, in 2000, Bart Simpson saw his and his sister's future. The leader of the country was Lisa Simpson. She was the president, and she was asked to fix the economy after former Donald Trump after former Donald Trump's presidency. Not only was Trump elected president in 2016, what one scene from the show looked as if it was almost replicated in real life. In the same episode, a crowd of people watched as Donald Trump descended down an escalator with First Lady Melania, while a group of supporters watched in the background.
Now you talk about creepy. I feel like this is creepier than the other one.
Look at this picture. Like this is almost
Dear.
like history. With you think it was the day after he got elected, right? Or
Yeah,
the day
it's
after
like
he started running.
It's like somebody's painted it the day after. It's really creepy, that one. Excuse me.
Like the fact that they're using an escalator. was Trump using escalators back then? Maybe too. Maybe someone saw him use them lots.
There you go.
but that's like 16 years.
Yeah, it's really. I think that's probably the creepiest one out of the lot so far.
Even the Fox and Disney Fox to me are the most realistic.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, definitely.
Okay, what do we got next?
So I have the USA curling team is my next one.
And we got a picture here.
There we go. So in 2010, in the episode Boy Meets Curl, which is season 21, episode 12, premiered when Homer and Marge arrived at the skating arena, only to see if this was closed for those practicing curling. They tried their hand at curling and eventually joined the US curling mixed doubles team during the Winter Olympics. Also in this episode, the USA team won a gold medal and defeated Sweden.
Those
now,
evil Swedes.
So we will fast forward to the real life, as we call it. So in 2018, the USA Olympic curling team, led by Josh Schuster, won their first gold medal for the curling. The USA team also beat Sweden in the 2018 Olympics with a score of 10-7. It's like they predicted the whole final. I'm thinking, this is, for me, like impossible. You can't predict something like that because you never know. That's really creepy.
Now, we didn't mention this either. Some people think, we'll get this later. We'll just keep on going with them, right? We'll go with ideas later, theories. The Sweden and USA final. It's hard to predict to get those two teams right.
Absolutely. So, what you got next?
We have the episode in 1995. The episode is called Lisa's Wedding. This is another one of those fortune-telling episodes. This is when they went to a fortune teller.
Mm-hmm.
And they predicted Lisa's future in 2010. Lisa's future consisted of her marrying a college sweetheart. Excited to share the news, she called her mom. The phone that Lisa dialed included a screen that showed Marge's face in real time attached to a rotary dial phone. While Skype was invented in 2003, it served primarily as the calling service used on computers. In 2010, Apple announced that it developed FaceTime for Apple users. The app allowed users to not only talk, but see the person they were talking to through the camera.
Wow. So this is like the birth of like Skype and FaceTime, which I think was still relatively new.
So this is 1995, this episode.
Yep, absolutely. So
15 years before FaceTime.
Yeah. But the creepy thing is here, it's fortune teller the future in 2010, but also in 2010, Apple announced the development, so it's the same year, which is really weird.
Listen, let's wait for when the future episode is supposed to have happened, and let's come up with it then.
Dear.
Well, but you know what? They've actually had video phones before, but it just didn't catch on because if one person only has the video phone, then it doesn't really work, and you're wasting all this money on this video stuff.
Yeah,
if they don't have the exact same phone, You need that thing to really take off. Like if Apple only had a small market, it wouldn't work.
George makes an interesting point there. I'd say cameras were going to this direction anyway, so I'd say it's hard to believe they aired it. That comment, I kind of agree with him on that a little bit. Were they going in that direction anyway?
Yeah, because what I was talking about is that they had this on the phones. They had actually, home phones that were trying to develop this. But if the thing isn't taken off, then it's you need everyone to have one.
Mm-hmm.
So what do we got next?
So we've got actually one of my favorite movies ever. So it's called Matrix 4 Premiere. So the Simpsons predicted it was easy to miss the Simpsons prediction was easy to miss in the 2004 episode, The Ziff Who Came to Dinner. In season 15, episode 14, at the beginning of the episode, behind Homer is a movie poster that read A Matrix Christmas coming soon. The image presented Neo, played by Keanu Reeves, in a Christmas hat. Now, I actually know this actual movie because it's actually one of my favorite franchises. So, of course, they brought 3 movies out, and The Matrix 4 was released last year.
Is it any good?
The ending's a little bit let down for me. That's all I will say.
Okay, but I should watch it.
I'd recommend it. It is if you're going to watch it, you're going to watch it from start. Do you know the first one?
I've seen them all, but
yep,
the first one's the only one I really love. Yeah,
it does follow on. So if you've seen the third one, you probably get what's going off in the fourth one.
Yeah,
but yeah, that's creepy because I actually know that movie pretty well. I've seen the movie. I like the series.
Again, this was one of those jokes. They think they're being funny.
Yep.
Because you have Neo with a freaking Santa hat on. Like, I've come to bring you great joy because I am the one. What?
But it's funny you say that. The reason he's also got a Christmas hat on is because the Matrix 4 was released 3 days before Christmas anyway.
Yeah, that's the main thing, right?
So it's a joke, but then it turns out it's real life. So this is... my mind's blown on these. It really has.
George says, if you love The Matrix, you'll like Resurrections. Okay, maybe I'll watch it. Maybe tonight, maybe not.
Right, so what we got next, Canada?
We got some COVID action going on. Look at this. He opens a box. I think he was getting a package. I think that was in the 93 episode of The Simpsons first aired the episode Marge and Chains from season 4, episode 21. Mm-hmm. The episode focused on Marge charged with shoplifting and forced to serve prison time. The rest of Springfield caught the Osaka flu after a shipment of products reached Springfield. Now, The Osaka flu caused a pandemic, as the COVID-19 pandemic did. The Osaka flu originated from a different country before it made its way to the U.S. In addition, the episode didn't have a treatment immediately available, and the doctors... Oh, they did have. The episode didn't have a treatment?
Didn't have.
Oh, yeah, they just got some bad bed rest. Similar how the science we're still testing our vaccine to prevent the COVID-19. So, yeah, this episode, the similarities for this is that while they didn't have a treatment for COVID or the Osaka flu, they both just told them just stay home and get some rest.
The freaky thing is I actually remember this episode because it's probably one of the first ones I ever watched. And it wasn't until obviously the pandemic hit they actually remembered, this actual episode. So I kind of like, I kind of relate to this one, but it's, how can you predict a pandemic? I mean, that's probably the creepiest one ever.
Oh, for sure. And so we're going to go with your next one.
Which is, of course, it's in the same episode, actually. It's called Murder Hornets. Now, as I mentioned there...
same episode?
Yes, so apparently in the same episode where they predicted the pandemic, they also gave a clue to another outbreak. During the episode Margin Change, which we just talked about briefly, a crowd of people demanded they wanted to place a placebo to cure their illness. when one of the members of the crowd pointed at a truck that could hold the placebos. The crowd knocked the truck over, realizing it was a swarm of killer bees. So we will fast forward to the real life, as we call it. Similar to
What do you mean as we call it? Isn't everyone call it real life?
real life, reality. There's loads of words.
I'm just busting your balls.
So similar to around the same time as the COVID-19 outbreak, there's a report of Asian giant hornets appearing in the US. Now, I don't remember seeing anything on this deal.
Yes, I remember the murder hornets in the news because it was like, we've just endured COVID-19. Now what do we got? We got murder hornets? Yeah, that was the big thing, is the next thing were murder hornets. And what's funny is that these two are mirroring each other. First comes the Osaka flu, and then comes the killer bees. First comes COVID, then comes the murder hornets. So that's kind of creepy, right? They got the two of them right after each other.
Yep, definitely. So back to you. What we got for you now?
I believe I have
Tom Hanks
endorses the U.S. In
now,
the Simpsons movie in 2007, actor Tom Hanks made a cameo appearance during a commercial scene that the Simpsons were watching. During the commercial, a father took his two children to see the Grand Canyon, but his daughter was unimpressed by the landmark and requested for there be a new Grand Canyon. Next, Hanks enters the scene, stating that the U.S. government lost its credibility, so it's borrowing some of mine. So
everybody remembers the movie. I mean, I've watched it loads of times, so I actually remember this like it was plain as day. I didn't expect to obviously connect it to real life, so I was a bit surprised with this one.
So in 2022, 1 year after President Joe Biden's presidency, Tom Hanks appears in the commercial stating Americans' determination as they endure economic hardship caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. The video focused on America's theme of rebuilding its economy and highlighting the success of Biden's administration so far. Hello?
I'm speechless on this one. I really am. Sorry.
What are you doing? So yeah, he's. The interesting thing is, U.S. government lost its credibility, so it's borrowing some of mine, and then so he's got Tom Hanks endorsing him, borrowing some of his.
Oh dear, that's the only one I'm actually speechless on because it's just blown my mind.
So which is funny is that, but isn't that what celebrities and people we trust really are doing? They're lending their credibility to the people they're endorsing.
Yeah, I guess you're right on that score. I never looked at it that way.
So, like, if I come out and say the Magic of Wrestling podcast show is great, you should watch it. And then someone watches it and they're like, "Oh, this is shit." That guy's so full of crap. So I'm putting my credibility out there, because if you don't do a good job now, after I say that, you know, you're kind of making me look bad.
Oh dear!
But you better step it up.
I'll make sure I step it up. I'll make sure the quality is way up. Don't you worry.
Yep. What do we got on the last one?
So, I can't believe this one, but it's Ukraine crisis. So, this episode, The Simpsons Tied, which was season 9, episode 19, which is obviously premiered in 1998. In the episode, a representative of each country met at the United Nations, and were discussing each of their country's plans. The representatives from Russia claimed that they wanted the rest of the countries to assume that the Soviet Union was in the past, following that the scenes of the Soviet Union flag hung, as well as their soldiers lining up. Now, fast forward to obviously this year, there's obviously the Ukraine crisis, which obviously I do feel for everybody. But Russia seized control of Crimea in 2014. Then we'll fast forward to February 2022. Russia invaded Ukraine, obviously airstrikes. The Simpson showrunner mentioned that the prediction doesn't compare. Now, this is the confusing thing. That is probably out of everyone that we've read. I know I've said this quite a few times tonight, but you can't predict a war, in my opinion. This is really the creepiest.
Yeah, that's a tough one. So in the episode, they actually they said they're invading Ukraine.
Let me just make sure I read the information. It doesn't say in the episode, but there's some sort of connection to this somewhere.
So they hint at it kind of in the episode, right?
Yeah.
But
And
then
yeah,
the thing is that Soviet Union has wanted to take Ukraine back forever.
Yeah.
So that's, like we're going to get into some busting balls theories on this, some ball busters. We're going to bust your balls so they're broken in two, baby. Whoa!
Fuck your balls, damn it. But yeah,
this episode is over, we're all going to say the Bret the Hitman Hart theme. Let's see if we can all pull it off. This is my birthday, damn
it. This never goes well, especially for me.
What's your Breeze version of it?
Best I am, best that I ever was.
I'm the best there was, I'm the best there is, and the best I am. Bree, if you're watching, we love you.
Love you, Bree.
Oh, blowing a kiss to Bree.
I'm not denying nothing.
He's denying nothing. Maybe you can talk his shirt off of him, Bree. Just saying.
Stop it.
You got me speechless, damn it. Let's get into some theories here. So while you've made it all the way to the end and got the theme going, like are they maybe possibly time travelers? Is Matt Groening and the rest of his crew, are they time travelers?
Possibly. I mean, that is a plausible explanation. I mean, some of that stuff you can't predict it, in my honest opinion, but the fact they have, you think, how have you done that? In my opinion.
Okay, the other thing is that people are saying, are they just tapping into something that Notre Dame tapped into?
Oh, I did not know this one, so you can elaborate.
Okay, so Notre Dame was a big predictor. He predicted so many things and they happened. But here's the thing. Notre Dame, while he got a lot right, he got a shitload wrong. The thing is, if you machine gun predict, you're going to get a few right. But the main reason I think that Simpsons gets things right is because the writers, they're so into now culture. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They're very on the I guess the grapevine. They're tapped into the pop culture. They've got a nice little connection in there, and the fact that they're so in tune to pop culture, they're gonna get some of these things. Like they know that that Ukraine and Russia there's tension there. They know that there's flus. We had the different flus going around before COVID-19. We had other things going on. We had what was that? We had the swine flu. What else?
Bird flu.
We had the bird flu. All sorts of things going on. So those were all topical things of the day. So I really think, just like I said, if you're gonna like, they're aiming for comedy here, and the more that how many episodes of Simpsons there are.
Well, that's 23 seasons last time I looked.
So every episode, you're trying to come up with something new.
Yeah.
So you're not trying to predict the future. You're just trying to come up with some creative. And so the more creative things you come up with, the more something's gonna tap into truth. I think they're all purely coincidence.
It's funny you say that, because obviously a friend at work, we were just discussing this episode was airing tonight, and he said the exact same thing. Yeah, some of the stuff is creepy, what they've predicted, but he boils it down to coincidence, which we just mentioned there.
Yeah, because how many? Like, I don't know. There's probably a few more out there, but these are the more recognizable ones, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think there'll be other shows as well where they've predicted stuff and
But
it comes true.
like we got the Queen. How many more are faked that we see? Like, so what my point is this: if we got more fakes, you're going to be giving the Simpsons more credibility, right?
Yeah, and I think with the technology we've got out there today, you can do anything. You can make anything look like
it's very easy to fake an animated show.
There you go. Right? Well said.
Yeah. So, and I think we're gonna bring George back to do what do we call this segment? What do we call it?
Knowledge is power.
Knowledge is power, and we're excited to have another member of our team here. So while we're waiting for George, I guess we'll just do it ourselves, and then we'll have George come in. So do you want to go first? Oh, no, we'll bring George in right away. Here he is.
Hey, George.
George, do you know what your knowledge of power moment is?
Turn his mic on for once.
Let's show the clip. Oh, look, there's George.
Microphone.
He couldn't lean over like us.
There we go.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I
can hear you.
Oh, there we go. I don't know why it was shut off.
Yeah, it's like, why isn't he answering me, that son of a bitch? What's your knowledge of power moment there, George? What is the moral of this story?
I see. The moral is come back to me. It's my first time.
Okay, you're a rookie. Everyone's nervous their first time, baby.
Absolutely. So, do you want to start on this one?
Oh, come on. All right. My knowledge of power moment is this. Kids, enjoy The Simpsons while it's around, because it's not always going to be around. Eventually, they're going to be like, this show has been going on for way too many years. Let's cut the plug. And we won't have any new episodes of Simpsons. So don't just watch it for Treehouse of Horror. Watch it every single week, because we don't know how much more of Bart, Lisa, and Homer and Marge and the baby we'll have.
I mean, he's kind of nicked what I was going to say, so now I need to think.
Sure went.
I wish I'd have gone first.
Knowledge is power. Knowledge is power.
I need to have a think now, because you've really just literally read my mind where I was
George,
going to say.
you got yours yet?
Sure, I'll go. All right. Remember, everyone. Yes, you two spirits. We know you're there. You maybe think that you can predict the future like The Simpsons, but you will not predict more things right than being in a wrestling prediction community.
Oh!
And that is your knowledge of power.
Turns it into an AFW plug. That is amazing.
Right, I'm just going to go.
Now. Pressure's on.
Kids, so when you're watching the news or you're watching things like in the real world, just remember one thing.
The real world.
The real world. That's why I said. Just remember one thing. It may have been on a Simpsons episode.
Oh.
So we're living a Simpsons episode right now.
Yes, we are.
All right, so we'll keep you around for the rest of the episode. Why don't we'll keep them around for the rest of the episode? So tell us, where can we where we can get a hold of AFW? Where can we get a hold of Effin Wrestling and all the shirts and all that kind of stuff?
So you can head to fmwrestling.com. You can contact us all there. You can also join our AFW Prediction League. The season is starting on the 28th of this month. We've also got AFW Backstage tomorrow, which I'm super excited for. You can head to prowrestlingtees.com/fmwrestling. Buy yourself a wrestler with a Paranormal shirt, or the one which is Canada Dry is wearing.
Yeah, Effin Wrestling, Johnny Canuck.
That's everything. What are you going to the show Sunday?
We on the All Effin Wrestling show this Sunday, we got the 10 biggest female moments in the history of wrestling. So that should be a good one. And remember, keep on wrestling with the paranormal.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Canada Dry. Happy birthday to you.
And remember, just keep fighting. And I'm ending my broadcast day.